Go inside the stone. That would be my way. Let somebody else become a dove or gnash with a tiger's tooth. I'm happy to be a stone. From the outside, the stone is a riddle. No one knows how to answer it. Yet within, it must be cool and quiet, even though a cow steps on it full weight, even though a child throws it in a river. The stone sinks slow, unperturbed, to the river bottom, where the fishes come to knock on it and listen. I have seen sparks fly out when two stones are rubbed, so perhaps it's not dark inside after all. Perhaps there's a moon shining from somewhere, as though behind a hill, just enough light to make out the strange writings, the star charts on the inner walls. Let's take a comfortable seat. If you're sitting feet flat, knees at a right angle, and just your hands resting on your lap in that pose of receptivity. The word he uses is unperturbed. The stone sinks slow, unperturbed, to the river bottom. That's what we're doing here. Softening all the muscles of the neck, letting the shoulders fall. And then placing your awareness right at the center of your forehead, right here between your eyebrows. Feeling the sparks flying out. And just softening the face. Around the eyes and the jaw. The back of the neck. Just lengthen it a little. And then letting down the drawbridge, sending all the archers away, completely opening the heart. To allow for the passage of breath up the escalator to the count of 4, with a pause at the top. And then releasing to the count of 5. Breathing in, I know this world of separation and confusion is an illusion. And breathing out, I choose this world to relieve the suffering of others, however I can. Softening the belly, letting the shoulders fall again. If you find your mind wandering, then that's the point of the meditation, to just step back and look at that, to be aware of that, where most of the time we're not. Just let that weather be what it is, and to pull our identities away from it. Just 2 more deep breaths. Breathing in, I know this world of separation is an illusion. And breathing out, I choose this world to relieve the suffering of others however I can. Go inside a stone. That would be my way. Let somebody else become a dove or Nash with the tiger's tooth. I'm happy to be a stone. From the outside, the stone is a riddle. No one knows how to answer it. Yet within, it must be cool and quiet, even though a cow steps on it full weight, even though a child throws it in the river. The stone sinks, slow, unperturbed, to the river bottom, where the fishes come to knock on it and listen. I've seen sparks fly out when 2 stones are rubbed, so perhaps it's not dark inside after all. Perhaps there's a moon shining from somewhere, as though behind a hill. Just enough light to make out the strange writings, the star charts on the inner walls. Many of you know the poetry of Charles Simic, who was born in Belgrade and who became uh, a refugee at the end of World War II, traveling across Europe with his mother, his father absent, already gone, ending up in Paris for some years. And then in his late teens, he came to America and joined the army. And when he came out, he was a full-fledged poet writing in English. This poem is Simic's version of Ode on a Grecian Urn, if you can look at it that way. And there are many such poems, which I'll talk about later. But this is such an urn poem, because in Keats's ode, he's in the British Museum and he sees these giant ancient works with figures painted on them. And he's moving around the urn to try to figure out what's going on here. And there are certain questions that he can't answer. Ultimately, the urn, which is hollow on the inside, is a total riddle to him. There's truth and there's beauty. And he says, that's all you need to know on earth. So Simic is looking at this stone and kind of saying the same thing. There is a hollowness too inside this rock, but the rock seems to embody all the truths. It's an example of ultimate repose. Even though a cow steps on it full weight, it still holds its reality. Even though children, not knowing what they've got in their hands, toss it idly in the river, it sinks unperturbed. It doesn't judge what happens. It is itself in all contexts. There's a huge truth that it embodies, but that truth is a mystery. That's all you need to know. Mystery in poetry is probably the hardest to handle, because most of the time when a poet tries to be mysterious, they end up being vague and confusing. But a great poet can be both clear and mysterious at the same time. In fact, I often talk about these two qualities in a poem side by side. If the poem is clear and it's mysterious, we know that we're in the midst of something that's true, even if the truth is we don't know. We don't know what the truth is. Robert Frost stands outside the woods and says, "Whose woods these are, I think I know. His house is in the village, though." There's a lot of unknowns in that "I think I know." So the woods are empty on the inside. The urn is empty on the inside. The stone, strangely, is a moonlit pasture with a cave and star charts on the inside. This is the work of apophatic poets. An apophatic poet is a don't know poet, a poet who, Susan McCaslin says, uses symbols and metaphors as the most direct way to pierce through the divine. It's also kind of a poem that is the confluence of spirituality, you could say, and science, because the speaker in the poem is testing things out constantly. I don't know this about it, but I do know this. It must be like this because this happens. There's all this gathering of information that is like evidence. And at the end, it's direct experience that leads him to his conclusion. When two stones are rubbed together, I see sparks pouring out of them. So it's like the confluence of dualities, logic and emotion, science and mysticism, the mortal and the immortal, separation and unity, that truth only pours out of the stone, or the stone only reveals itself when both of those dualities, relative and absolute, are present. In other words, you can't get there just by offering one. They have to be smashed together in order for the truth to reveal itself. And what is the truth? The truth is emptiness. In Buddhism, that emptiness is called sunyata. And emptiness is not like a lack in sunyata, which is the Pali word for it. It's an emptiness of separate identities in which we realize in a flash, in a spark flying out of the stone, that everything we look at has come from somewhere else, back and back and back and back. Even the self, which is like a stone that's empty on the inside, it's all come from somewhere else. And it's impossible to know that the truth of that deep insight. The Buddha says, whatever you think it is, it's not that, which might be the truest thing ever said in spirituality. Whatever you think it is, it's not that. So we have to back our way into it, like I was talking about last week. Some scholars use a via negativa, which is to say, well, we know it's not this, we know it's not that, doing what the Buddha says, we know it's not this, and we back our way into a place that's as close as possible to the truth. Like John Felsteiner would translate Paul Celan by offering little words of German throughout the poem and then stringing them together so that we're actually reading the poem in German at the end. We're just backing our way into the truth by eliminating what it's not. Every poet has a poem about reality. At least I think every poet worth their salt is writing about reality. Czesław Miłosz, the Polish great Nobel poet, says, what's this enigmatic impulse that doesn't allow one to settle down in the achieved, in the finished? I believe it's the quest for reality. And Yeats says, we can't know the truth, though we embody it. All these poets have their stone poems. They have poems about rivers and towers. And it seems like there is great worth in writing about reality, because if we get close to it, we reach that unperturbed state in knowing that there are certain things that we'll never reach. We become a don't know poet. That is all you need to know on earth. And here's the stone. Go inside a stone. That would be my way. Let somebody else become a dove or gnash with a tiger's tooth. I'm happy to be a stone. From the outside, the stone is a riddle. No one knows how to answer it. Yet within, it must be cool and quiet, even though a cow steps on it full weight, even though a child throws it in a river. The stone sinks, slow, unperturbed, to the river bottom, where the fishes come to knock on it and listen. I've seen sparks fly out when two stones are rubbed. So perhaps it's not dark inside after all. Perhaps there's a moon shining from somewhere, as though behind a hill. Just enough light to make out the strange writings, the star charts on the inner walls. So taking a comfortable seat, that is all you need to know. Getting back into that position, that relaxed position of the shoulders, straightening the back a little, lengthening the neck. In right concentration, one of the steps of the Eightfold Path, one of the objects of concentration is nothingness, this emptiness we're talking about. where we look beyond outside appearances. We become a don't know poet. We can sink unperturbed down into that center. Let's see if we can get there. Using that ABCD method, starting with A for as it is. I don't know what any of this means, but it's here. I can see it as it is. It's an evidence gathering. I've seen the stone do this. I've seen it do that. It drops to the river unperturbed. Sparks fly out of it sometimes. We can't know the truth, but we embody it. That's an as it is statement. I don't know what this moment is, but here I am in it. B is for be here. Okay, here I am in it. There's nowhere else to be. Meister Eckhart says that if the only prayer you ever say is thank you, it will be enough. If you can find your way into thank you, you're here. John Coltrane's stone poem is a piece called Psalm. He wrote the words to go along with every note of his solo. And most of the words are just thank you, God, thank you, God, thank you, God. C is change happens. We might say, I don't know what changes are coming, but I do know the change will change. The last one, very difficult, but essential, is don't judge. I don't know all the causes that led up to this. I can just respond. I don't have to judge. The apophatic response, the don't know response. That is all ye know on earth and all you need to know. Just letting everything rest again, falling unperturbed, untouched by all this action on the outside. Just 2 more deep breaths. Go inside a stone. That would be my way. Let somebody else become a dove or gnash with a tiger's tooth. I'm happy to be a stone. From the outside, the stone is a riddle. No one knows how to answer it. Yet within, it must be cool and quiet, even though a cow steps on it full weight, even though a child throws it in a river. The stone sinks, slow, unperturbed, to the river bottom, where the fishes come to knock on it and listen. I've seen sparks fly out when 2 stones are rubbed, so perhaps it's not dark inside after all. Perhaps there's a moon shining from somewhere, as though behind a hill. Just enough light to make out the strange writings, the star charts on the inner walls.